I am so excited for our conversation today about feeling festive around the holidays, especially if you have infertility and you don't have children. So every year since the day that we were born, the magic of Christmas has been among us. And there's certainly great importance and for some religious significance around the holiday, but let's be honest, society has sensationalized a date on the calendar. And the real conversation that I want to have today is for women who are childless after infertility and are feeling forgotten or they're feeling shunned around the biggest holiday of the year because there is not an established community or an outlet to talk about the struggles we go through day after day when our dream of motherhood is not realized. So, day after day, these last couple months leading up to the holidays, women with infertility are feeling isolated. Maybe they're feeling marginalized. Maybe they feel like they just don't fit in because the conversation and the topics are not based around women like us. And at the end of this live, we are going to cover how you can eliminate the heaviness that the holidays might have for you, and how having infertility and going through multiple rounds of IVF and not being able to have children may, especially around the holidays, have this sense of stigma that your best holidays are behind you and that your best days are behind you and that the years moving forward just might feel a little bit lonely and a little bit isolating because you don't have anything to bring with you to the party or you don't have anyone to share your family traditions with. And we're going to talk all about that today and learn how you can create a life that feels fulfilled and a life that you truly feel connected to. So if that sounds like something you are down with, give me a yes in the chat. I want to know who's here. If you're watching the replay, please comment. Let us know that you're here because we want to know that there is a community that's listening, a community that is joining us in this fight to create equality and to create a sense of lightness for those of us that have infertility and maybe feel like we just are not connected to the rest of the world because we don't have kids. So let's talk about the fact that there are just few people that talk about what it's like to live life that feels like happy, a life that feels light, a life that feels energetic when you couldn't have children. And before I received coaching and before I understood the magic that I could create in my life, I felt that way. I felt like there was no one out there like being an example of what life could be like if you didn't have children, and that I always thought my life would be at 80%, maybe have some great days, but most of my days would be good, maybe average. And I was just not that type of person. I was not an average kind of person. I was always a goal getter, somebody who was energizing and somebody who had this true zest for life. So if that is the type of person you are and you're feeling like maybe that part of your life is always going to be on hold, then this is why you will want to stick around to the end of this live and learn how you can regain that control in your life. So I'm going to first start talking about the top 3 mistakes that I see people make around the holidays. And women that have infertility oftentimes believe that they have to accept this as their truth when the holidays come and they don't have children. So the number 1 mistake I see women with infertility make is believing that you have to have children in order to have relevance around the holidays. And you may feel like you just don't have a place, like you show up maybe at your family gathering and you just feel like there's this emptiness. Maybe you made your appetizer, maybe you made your dessert, you bring it over to your aunt's house, and you feel like there's just this missing piece of you and that you don't have much to add to the conversation. Maybe you feel like people are all sitting around wondering what's wrong with you. because they have no clue what you've been going through or what you've endured in the past to achieve your goal of motherhood. And when that hasn't happened for you, people might look at you and you think that they're interpreting your childlessness as having less of a relevance in your family. Next mistake I see people make is disconnecting from others around the holiday. Maybe you're feeling as though there's just no place for you, and that all your friends have kids and they're all together talking about what they're shopping for this year, or making letters to Santa and sending letters off to Santa. Maybe they're talking about their family holiday photo shoot and how their son Joey was just crying the whole time he was on Santa's lap. And so instead of being amongst that conversation, you're choosing to disconnect from people around you and choosing to sit alone and maybe not create and form connections for yourself. And I get it. I've been there. And I want to tell you that feeling disconnected is not something that has to be part of your narrative moving forward. And this could be the day that you learn how to create connection for yourself and in your life, even though you don't have children. So let me know in the comments if you've felt at all some sort of disconnection, or maybe felt like you just don't have anything in common with the people around you that have kids. Give me a yes in the comments if that is you. And I love when you comment. Can I just say that, even if you're watching the replay, because the women who are out there and feeling this way, when they watch this replay and they comment, they know that they have a place that they feel connected to. So that could even be the way that you start to create connection for yourself these holidays, is telling yourself that you're not alone, and that even if it's me, the only person that you've ever heard talk about what life could be like if you don't have children, you can know that there is some sort of connection for you out there. Okay, so now the third mistake that I see people make is that they tell themselves that the holiday traditions that you were brought up with just will become lost, and there's no one to pass your traditions down to or to share in your traditions with. And so there's this sense of loss that you're feeling around the holidays. And when I tell you that it may feel very hard to believe that you can create new traditions or continue to celebrate your family traditions, it's such a false understanding that we have that there isn't anyone to pass our traditions down or practice them with. And I understand that maybe your family dynamic has changed. Maybe people have passed on. Maybe there's been shifts in the family, and maybe as your family has grown, your sister goes and celebrates Christmas Eve with your brother-in-law's family. And maybe on Christmas Day, people have other stops to make, and it feels like your table is not as full as it used to be. But let me tell you, your holiday traditions and the ways that you celebrate can shift, and they can change, and you can create some amazing new traditions for yourself and for your family. And when I started taking over Christmas Day, I decided that even though we didn't have children, I wanted to inherit Christmas Day as my holiday that I held at my house, because I know what it was like when my sister wanted to open presents with her kids and have the morning to themselves, and my parents are getting older, so I knew it was a lot for my mom to take on. And so I decided that even though I didn't have kids, I wanted to be the one to open my home and open my table to the people in my family. And I increased my guest list. I chose to invite family and friends that maybe historically didn't come to our house for the holidays. Or I have some friends who don't have any family local. And so I decided that I wanted to open my table and create traditions and a place for people to come to, even if they didn't have their old traditions to celebrate. And we would then create our own new traditions together. And it has been so fulfilling. So let me tell you a little bit about my story. if you haven't followed me on Instagram, or if you haven't listened to the So Now What podcast, which is my weekly podcast, you might not know how I came to even speak to you about these topics and to speak to you about childlessness. So at age 37, I was diagnosed with unexplained infertility. And for me, I never even thought I would have trouble becoming a mom or having a family. And when I got this diagnosis, it really set me back. It got me feeling as though I would never be successful in my life, that I had this diagnosis that right out of the gate was unexplained, and there was just no way that I would ever have some clarity around it. So my journey continued. I went through 7 years of trying to become a mom, which included IUI, IVF, natural methods. And at the end of my journey, when it was discovered that I wouldn't become a mom, I felt so alone and so isolated, because it felt like my best days were behind me. And there were very few people that were out there in the world talking about how to create greatness. And so I came to my road of discovery of a life that feels like I'm thriving again and fulfilled again on my own. And absolutely, you can certainly do this alone. And you can maybe think that time will heal, and that over, the next course of the years, if you just wait long enough and hold on long enough, this sadness and emptiness will start to subside. And maybe it will. And for you, I hope, if that's the way that you want to move forward, that you will find some clarity that way. But let me tell you that if you are trying to convince yourself that time will heal your emptiness and your childlessness will seem lighter just because time has passed, it's going to be, at least for me, it was a very rough road. And I felt so isolated. So put a me in the chat if you feel like time might heal you. Or maybe who is out there who has tried to think differently on your own? And maybe you've watched a webinar, maybe you've listened to an episode of my podcast, and you've tried some of the things that I offer in the podcast, and you think that alone might change the way that you're feeling. Put a me in the chat if that's you. Or maybe you just feel like you can navigate this on your own, and you sit there and you see all these things on Instagram or on social media, or people that are just really like trying so hard to share their story with you because they've come to the other side of things, and you look at them and you see their posts about living peacefully after infertility, and you're thinking to yourself, it would be so nice to feel that, but it doesn't feel possible to you. And that your infertility journey was just too sad, and that you had too many miscarriages or too much heartbreak, or people like you or people that have lived your journey just don't ever recover from the emptiness that infertility brings. And you're just like this lone wolf on your journey. Now, who here feels that way? Put a me in the comments if you can resonate with that feeling of loneliness, or feeling that healing and hope is possible to anyone except for you, because your story is just too much to bear. So let me tell you, here's the truth. You can read posts, and you can practice mantras, and you can watch videos and listen to podcasts or attend a one-day course that probably you'll end up forgetting, because you have not been offered the tools to really get yourself to a place that feels lighter. And the only way that this really can get cemented in your DNA, and to become the woman who wakes up just feeling so grounded, and a woman who isn't starting her day off feeling like there's this lack or emptiness because of your infertility, but to be somebody who is actually like being it and being that powerful person, and who's just radiating it and glowing. And to be somebody, can you imagine like walking into a room and not feeling like you need to hide because you're worried if somebody who comes up to you and asks, like, so how many kids do you have? Or like walking into a room and just like dreading somebody asking you, like, any babies yet? Or what's the latest? Did you guys have kids yet? So when you have coaching in your corner, you are able to be that woman. Like, you're able to have somebody in your corner who can help you really understand what's in the way of you stepping into your greatness. And somebody who can help you identify what your fears are without judging you. And all the ifs, ands, and buts that come along with infertility. And when you have a coach and you work with a coach on creating a life that feels like you're thriving again, you will have somebody on the road with you to create a roadmap to greatness. And when you don't have that type of person in your life, it can feel so confusing. And I know because I did it. I finished my fertility treatments and there was absolutely no resources that were offered to me. There was nobody that called me to check on me and say, what's next for you? I know you didn't want to adopt. I know egg donor was not the right thing for you. And how can we help you navigate? There was absolutely nobody who offered any help to me to navigate this journey after I discovered I wouldn't become a mom. So when you don't have that kind of person in your life, it could feel so isolating. But when you do, living this life that feels so free and so light is just like your natural way of being. And when you embody that and when you receive coaching, you will live so much easier and so much freer. And that is just going to be your second nature when you put your feet on the floor each morning. And then you can walk into that room and you can feel confident again. And you can build a life that feels just so bold. And you will be somebody who can truly be excited about their future again. Could you imagine how great that would feel to think about your future and not feel this sense of dread, and to actually feel excited about the next 50 years ahead of you? Put a yes in the comments if it feels like you just want to feel excited about your future, because I know how it feels when you're thinking about who's going to take care of me, who's going to love me, who's going to be there when my life gets hard. Because right now, it feels very heavy to think about growing old when you don't have children. But when you work with a coach and when you learn the tools that you can actually implement in your life, your story will start to inspire you. You'll no longer feel shame about infertility. You'll no longer feel like you're less than, or maybe you're sick of feeling like you just don't connect with your friends with kids anymore and you just want life to feel easy again. Coaching will help you do that. And how do I know? Because I did that. That is how my life changed. And it wasn't offered to me, so I went out to seek it. And when you learn that creating a life of purpose is possible, even when you don't have children, you will then create the life of your dreams. And I didn't know it was possible for me. I just thought I would operate at 80% after my infertility journey ended. And I was just expecting that things would feel average, because nobody told me that there was this whole glorious world that I had yet to discover. And that is why I created my coaching practice. And that is why I got certified in life coaching for women with infertility, because women need to know this is available to them. The students I work with have transformed their life, and there's only few of us that go out there and talk about what it's like to live this amazing life, and a life that feels like there's ease to it, and a life that feels like you're in control of it again, because you've felt like you've been on this holding pattern for so long, because you've just been waiting to find out if your dream of motherhood is going to happen for you. And when it doesn't happen, you wonder when you're going to feel like in control of your life again. and it feels so alone, and this journey feels so heavy. So give me a yes in the comments if you felt like you just want to feel in control of your life again. And you want to feel like the holidays can feel exciting again and light and free, and the happiness and the joyousness that everyone is talking about around the holidays. If you want that to be part of your life again, give me a yes, because I want you to know that you are not alone. You're not the only one who feels this way. There is a sea of women that I have had the good fortune of connecting with who at one time believed that they had to do this alone. And there's so many of us that are just seeking support and wanting to seek understanding and don't want to feel marginalized anymore. And I know that you want the support. I know that you want to feel heard. And I know that you want to feel just comforted, because infertility and the journey of going through IVF and fertility treatments is so depleting, and it seems like this emotional roller coaster. And I know how it feels to want to just feel like you are not alone in this journey, and you just want to know that there is a community of women that have the same feelings and the same dread and the same sadness that you might be feeling right now, especially around the holidays. And I know that you are searching for a way to create a life that feels full again, and that you're used to being successful, and in your career and in your job, you were just so used to being a powerhouse, and you were so used to having all the answers and feeling like no matter what you did, you could achieve. And that somehow feels like it has been stripped away with you. It has just somehow been stripped away with your infertility. But wouldn't it feel so wonderful to have someone you can confide in that has been on your journey? And wouldn't it be just so like a feeling of ease to know that you can share the things that you've been feeling and the things that you've been thinking and fearing about your life with somebody who has been on that journey, and somebody who won't judge you because they felt that way too? Give me a yes if you just want to feel like you could just throw it all out there and tell someone these feelings of jealousy, or maybe these feelings of isolation and these feelings of dread that you have been having, because you are not alone. I know how that feels. And how good would it feel to receive and just sit back and not feel like you just have to constantly give of yourself and give of your body during these fertility treatments, and be a pincushion and be waiting by your phone to receive the news about how this cycle went for you, and just always feel like you are just like giving and giving of yourself, but never receiving the news that you want to hear, or receiving the hope that you want to have. Because let's be honest, as women, we are just not good at receiving. We give. We do for everyone else. We try our best to make everybody's life happy and joyous and full. But when we are constantly giving and pretending that we don't need anything, we start to feel really depleted, especially at a time in our lives when we are just trying to navigate what our future is going to look like, and it just seems so foreign. And we want to receive like support, and we want to receive community, and we want to receive friendship that feels like it fills us up. And I know what it feels like to always be giving and never feel like you are receiving the right support. Like, who is out there feeling so tired of that? And I know that you are ready to feel like you are thriving again and feel like your life has purpose beyond the holidays. And maybe it's just prominent right now because of the holidays are upon us, and everything we hear and everything we do seems to be holiday related. But to be honest with you, these feelings of emptiness and loneliness are going to show up in your future. And you are going to have somebody you meet at a work meeting and get introduced to that asks you, how many kids do you have? Or maybe someone that you run into who's asked you, so did you ever have children? These things are not going to go away just because the holidays have ended. So I want to know if you are ready to thrive and feel fulfilled, even though you didn't have the children you always thought you would. And if you resonate with this, I want you to stick around for just a few more minutes so I can tell you all about this sacred, beautiful, and just fulfilling space that I have created through Thrive After Infertility. It is an intimate container for women who went through fertility treatments and were not able to become moms, and women that always dreamed that they would become moms and were never able to realize their dream of motherhood. And Thrive After Infertility is the perfect 3-month space that you could just show up every week and be the true version of you and not apologize for how you're feeling and not say, I know this sounds weird, but you don't have to preface anything with a pre-qualifier about what you're about to say or what you're about to feel, because you will be surrounded by women who understand you. If you choose to join the 3-month mastermind, it will be full of women that have been in your shoes. And how good would it feel to show up and not have to retell your story, because you're going to hear women around you basically speak your story, because there are women out there that have lived the reality that you are in now, but nobody knows that they exist because there is no one out there creating a community like you can receive and Thrive After Infertility. And maybe you're somebody who isn't ready for that group and you want to work one-on-one with me and be with somebody weekly who's understood your journey and has been in your journey. You can have that too. You can have a life that feels so good, and you can have this fullness in your heart and know that you don't have to do it alone anymore. And life does not have to feel scary, and your future doesn't have to seem empty and like you don't have any support. So I want to invite you to join Thrive After Infertility. If this is something that you have just been waiting for and nobody has been talking about it, this is your day. This is your day to create change and to take your life from average to amazing again. Because I know that you used to be that woman who had this true and honest zest for your life, and Thrive After Infertility is the place that will help you get there. And if you're interested in that, you can DM me. You can put a yes in the comments or say I'm in. How about that? Even if you're watching the replay, if this sounds like something that you want, just put I'm in the comments and I'll reach out to you. Maybe, you just didn't know that something like this existed, and maybe you're trying to figure out whether this is right for you. I would love for us to hop on a call and talk about the ways that I can support you and find out whether a small group is good for you or whether one-on-one is good for you. And I truly just want women to know that there is this ability to feel ease in this life, and that this weight of infertility does not have to be prominent in your day, and that you can coexist with feelings of sadness, and those feelings do not have to be the leader of your life. You can feel those feelings but still wake up every day and feel as though your life has purpose and feel like fulfilled and energized. And this is the perfect container for you, because it is so possible for you to stop bringing that weight of infertility with you every day to work or in every meeting or on every call. And you just deserve to let go of that. You deserve to feel this lightness. And I just want to know, like, imagine, just close your eyes right now and imagine how good it would feel to let go of that. So if you feel vulnerable and like maybe this isn't the right spot for you to comment on, that's okay. I know it feels weird to share publicly all of this weight and sadness that you're feeling. And if commenting in this post is not the right thing for you, that is so fine. You can send me a message here, or if you're on Instagram, you can go to at lana.manikowski, lana.manikowski, and message me there, and we can just hop on a call, no pressure, talk about whether we would be a right fit for each other. But I just want you to know that regardless of your journey, regardless of how many rounds of IVF you've gone through, or how many IUIs, or how many embryos were frozen that were not viable for implantation, you don't have to do this alone. You have somebody here who has lived your story and who has created so much greatness and so much life from a time that felt so alone. So I hope that you choose to go all in on you and present yourself this year, going into this new year, present yourself an opportunity to believe that you can be you again, and that your best days are not behind you. Your best days have yet to be discovered by you. So I love you, and I hope that you choose to go in on yourself and just get curious about what's possible for you. And I can't wait to talk to you. Have an awesome day. I'll talk to you guys later.